Welcome to the Blue Raider podcast, where we bring you all the latest news, updates, and interviews from the Blue Raiders world of sports. Along with game recaps and analysis, we bring you interviews with coaches, players, and other media members of the MTSU athletic community. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any of your favorite streaming services so you don't miss our next Tuesday morning upload. Lastly, we want to hear from you, our listeners, on our Twitter account at Blue Raider Pod, or write your submissions to the podcast email at blueraiderpod@gmail.com. Welcome to the Blue Raider Podcast. I'm your host, Jake Bolden, and today is Tuesday, January 9th, and I am very excited about today's episode because our guest is my first coach on the podcast, and that is Jimmy Borendame, the headsman's coach. Jimmy, how you doing?
Hey, Jake, thanks so much for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
I said that I'm excited about this for many reasons. There's so much excitement and buzz around the new Student Athletic Center as well as the new outdoor facility, and we'll talk about all those things later on. But I think the biggest excitement really is you're coming off of your fourth straight conference championship, consecutive years being ranked in the top 25 in the ITA rankings. So there's a lot of buzz around this program. You've got a lot of new transfers coming in. Just to dive into it real quickly, what's kind of some excitement expectations you have for this program?
Ooh, it's funny. I always look at everything as like it's a clean slate. And actually this year, that probably means more than normal just because there's so many new faces on my team this year. Last year's group, had its own identity, its own theme, and each year we come up with a different theme. And this year, I think I've got 7 out of 10 are all new faces. Picking up one of the guys tonight at the airport, a brand new January edition. I'm very excited about the group, but they've kind of got to still create their identity and kind of see what we're going to do, results and wise. But we're still early in the process of kind of forming this team. So a lot of potential, though. I'll give you that one.
Well, we've touched about this before we came on the air about how quickly these guys have to turn around. It's the day of recording. We're at January 3rd right now. You're going to have your first practice on the 5th, and then by the time we have a release of this, by that week's end, you got your first doubleheader coming up. So as far as what you have to do as a coach, taking care of these guys when they're not literally under your watch over the break, how much time do these guys really have to get ready, and what kind of training program, or if any, do you have to put them under in those first week and a half?
College tennis is kind of crazy like that. Everybody goes home. We do all the preseason in the fall, and we do tournaments and whatnot. Then we take final exams, and everybody kind of goes home for a month, and we don't know what they're doing, where they're at. I mean, actually, yesterday I checked on my young man from Japan to make sure he was okay because all the earthquakes that occurred in Tokyo and whatnot, and which is crazy. He's safe, his family's safe, and everything, but. We give them a regiment and we ask that we hope that they play, but, there's really nothing we can do to hold them to it. But, when we come back, you want to want to have that great first showing or impact team that you're in shape, you're ready to go. Don't really want to play your way into the season. You want to especially with our schedule, we want to come out, rocking and rolling. So, we'll start up on the 5th and kind of take an assessment of where everybody is.
Well, you touched on it there a little bit about the international players, and majority of your team are international players. I mean, what kind of challenge is that as a coach, not only from a recruiting aspect, but also I assume most of these guys head home for the breaks, so these long periods of time. It's a challenge, but it's unique to any other program in sport at MTSU.
Yeah, I mean, it's really different. We've got a lot of international feel to our team, just like women's basketball does. Volleyball. A lot of the other teams are dabbling into the international waters. It's been kind of my niche. I kind of tease that I'm like, it's like Noah's Ark. I don't like to have more than 2 from any country because then you kind of get overwhelmed. And each year that team dynamic just kind of continues to change and flow a little bit here and there. But we've got some great pipeline with the recruiting. So it really makes, making the team gel and come together as a family even a little bit more interesting. For me, it's an amazing experience to have all these guys from all over the world share their cultures and their things that they do, and their routines and how they train and learn from them. And to be honest, it's just super cool experience for all of us because it's kind of a melting pot of of individuals from all over the world. Now, I say all over the world, most of them are from Europe, but
Mhm.
we got my Japanese guys, so we got Asia covered a little bit. But yeah, it's really interesting experience. Just kind of see how they become adjusted to the U.S. culture and then the team dynamic, because they don't play high school tennis. They don't play there's no team tennis in other parts of the world. U.S.
Mhm.
is the only place that really plays team tennis. So this is their kind of their first introduction to being a team. And so I get to kind of get them as raw and very raw, and then mold them and shape the team as I want, or as I try, I should say, try my best. But it's really exciting. I'm really looking forward to Friday and getting things going.
You talk about traveling and getting all those recruits. You delved a little bit into the transfer portal this go around. A lot of new faces there from the transfer portal, but I'm interested to know your recruiting. How does that take place? Like, I know transfers, you might be able to get film or might be able to see these guys in person from time to time, from tournaments to tournaments. But with these foreign guys, I mean, how are you capable? When does that season come for you where you're able to, if you do go overseas, or if you have the ability to pluck those guys out? How does that recruiting process work for you?
Yeah, the recruiting process is very, it's the lifeblood of your team. I mean, yes, we do a little bit of all of it. The transfer portal, it giveth and it taketh away.
Mm-hmm.
We benefited from it quite. We did extremely well. I'm not gonna be very humble there. I'm gonna just go ahead and say we, we really benefited. So, but yeah, international travel. I just came back from Europe. I was in Austria, Germany, Slovakia. Coach Callie was in Europe this summer, our associate head coach. We shake as many trees and look under rocks as much as we can. But to be honest, our players are our best recruiters. They have a great experience at middle. We treat them well. We play in front of huge crowds at the Adams Tennis Complex and now the new outdoor tennis complex. We've been successful, and most importantly, our players get better. So, they kind of share the word, and they'll let us know. Say, hey, check out little Johnny over here. He's playing at my club back home, and then we kind of build from there.
Yeah, I can imagine the tennis community is quite the fraternity, especially like you say, you've got so many roots and planted and all over Europe as well as throughout the United States. And your name is getting around, being how successful you are. But I kind of want to dive into some of these names that you've plucked from the transfer portal. The one that stands out to me on paper, he's currently ranked, or at least in the last singles ranking, was 25th in the country. Your senior transfer from Temple, Leo Ray Queen, Frenchman, right? Said that right.
Yeah,
27-5 junior campaign at Temple, and he had a great fall. It looks like.
yeah, man, Leo's killing it. You know, uh, Very interesting young man. Extremely smart. He's a senior, but he's only 20 years old. So he's very young. And, he'd won a lot at Temple, but wanted to really take his game to another level. And not the prettiest of tennis players as far as aesthetically watching, but the guy just wins. Extremely good athlete and mover on the court. I mean, he's like a ninja out there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but he's been a great addition. He only gets the 1 year. He's got another semester of school to start because he started in January, but he's just gotten better, and he's extremely coachable. Great young man, super student athlete in school. So just excited to see him kind of continue that momentum that he's had in the fall.
Yeah, Ray Queen was the ITA Fall Regional winner on their fall schedule. So again, very impressive resume already for the guy. But to switch our attention over to guys that you're bringing back from last year, again, some big names like Kamrowski, who's currently ranked 47th in singles. He was a part of your outstanding doubles team at the Conference USA tournament last year. I mean, all around, just a well-rounded player for you for both doubles and singles aspect.
Yeah, I mean, Kamrowski's very dangerous. We call him Camaro is his nickname. He drives a
Mm.
Camaro, and his name's Kamrowski. But yeah, he's come a long way, really matured. But on paper in juniors, he was a really good player, and he's really taken some big steps. Huge fall for him, nationally ranked, top 50, and then his the other two sophomores, Horak, I think he rounded out the rankings as well, maybe 104 in the country. And then Shu Matsuoka is the Japanese young man. That trio right there really reminds me of the trio that I had the past few years: Slump, Rocha, and Modal. I'm expecting big things from those three. A lot of talent from those three guys. So really excited about our youth that we brought back from last year's team as well.
I know after the fall campaign, you kind of touched on figuring out your doubles a little bit. I know that, again, back to Kamarowski, and you mentioned Horak, they're doubles partners pretty consistently last year. Horak was 105 in singles, 25 and 9 as a freshman in singles. He was fifth all time at MTSU. So he's a record breaker already as a young kid, but that duo right there, I'd have to imagine is going to be leading your first line there in doubles. You kind of feeling your way through that second and third pairing?
Well, Kamrowski and Horak are a good team. But we with the transfers we brought in, trying to kind of split them up a little bit. I've really been spoiled. To be honest, it's probably the biggest thing we're going to focus on and try to figure out these next few weeks. And I'm losing this little bit of hair that I have left here on the top of my head to try to figure these doubles teams out. I'm a little old school in that I really like to keep the teams together. Like if you track in the past 14 years that I've been at middle, very rarely do I switch the teams. I like to kind of build that rapport between the partners, whether they're winning or losing. I don't like to kind of break them up. I put those two together a little bit. We're bringing in the new guy in January. I pick him up tonight, Jakob Kroslak, extremely good doubles player, huge kid, 6'5". I'm not going to go ahead and say that they're going to stay together. I still need to see some pieces and kind of figure that out. So, but they are definitely a talented pair. So,
well, it goes back to that quick turnaround you talk about, where you still mentally are trying to piece those doubles pairs together, and you don't have much time to kind of fiddle around and play with it much. Is that kind of one of those? And we'll touch on your schedule here in a little bit. Is that one of those things that you'd like to have pinned down before that first matchup?
So, we play those two matches in the first day on the 13th. We'll probably mix and match them a little bit just to kind of see. This year's team, carrying 10 guys. I mean, last year, we went with 8. It was pretty thin. The doubles piece is, if you look in the past 5, 6, 7 years, our doubles, we've been pretty lucky. We were able to keep some of the teams. In fact, Slump and Modal stayed together for 3 years. I didn't have to change the team. They were just continued to play with each other, and they won a lot. So, with 7 new guys, 3 returners, there's a lot of new pairs there to kind of fiddle out. And at the end of the day, Chris Massaro and the Blue Raider Nation, they don't care who plays with each other. They just want the doubles point, which that's all I'm really looking for too. So we say in college tennis we say that doubles comes down to coaching and singles comes down to recruiting. So doubles is very tactical and very position, percentage, placement. There's different tactics used. Singles, it's just kind of boils down to how well you recruited. There's not as much X's and O's, and I don't know if the coach has as much impact on singles. I'm proud to say that we've won a lot of doubles, so hopefully I'm doing some decent things up there. But I'm going to stick to our doubles tactics and our ways, and kind of see if I can find the right pairs. If not, I'm gonna blame Coach Callie, our associate head coach.
Well, I know doubles was your thing back in college in your days at Butler. Is that right?
Well, when you're short, stubby Italian guy from Chicago, you only got to worry about guarding half the court, and your doubles partner is a 6'6" black guy with a huge cannon of a serve. I just kind of had to stay in the one corner and let him serve bombs. But yeah. So that's been kind of our niche, and we ironically, if you don't follow college tennis as much as I do, we play a very traditional style of doubles, very old school, meaning we serve and volley. So we hit the serve, and I met with the guys run to the net, and this is very traditional. Now you'll see a lot of the other teams, they won't do this tactic, and so it's just a little side note as I try to convince your listeners to come out to a match for the first time, so they know what they're looking at out there.
Well, it's funny you
But
say that because I think a lot of people will hear that, and if pickleball is all the craze right now, and what everyone
yeah,
talks about, the tactic in doubles is, as you say, they're going to serve and they run right to the kitchen. So maybe you use terminology like that, you may get some of those pickleballers to roll over to the Adams Tennis Complex.
pickleball is the craze. I mean, I've gone and played a couple times myself. I think it's amazing. I think it's awesome. So a lot of tennis people are kind of anti pickleball, but
Yeah.
I'm pro pickleball, and I think it's really cool. And I'm hoping we can do an event or two at the new courts on campus, with pickleball, and pickleball's coming to Murfreesboro. I know the Zolt family just agreed to bring Pickleball Kingdom franchise to Murfreesboro, and I think it'd be cool to. It's gonna be great for Murfreesboro. So hopefully we can get MTSU men's tennis is gonna get on board with that.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool thing. If you're like me, running for tennis, not my thing. My wife played it in high school, and she tries to get me out there, and I can't keep up. But pickleball is more my speed. I'm a great ping pong player. Pickleball is kind of my middle ground there. Just to jump, the tennis program is doing within the community. I know you've got these clinics that you're running. They fill up really fast, and I think it's a great opportunity, like for you, reach out to the community.
Yeah, so we did. I did them last week. They were a huge hit. I mean, we limited it to 25 people, and we had even more people show up. They just kind of dropped in, but it's okay. It was great. I'm always trying to. I feel like I'm an advocate for tennis in general, and
Hmm.
so I'm constantly trying to ambassador. That's the fancy word I was looking for tennis. The more people I can get playing tennis, they're going to be willing to come watch our matches. They're going to get in the sport, pay it forward. All the people that kind of helped contribute to me, to my love for the game, and helped me along the way. And so I'm super excited. We actually haven't even announced it yet, so I'm gonna leak it on this podcast. We're gonna start doing this free on Fridays. So I like to play Friday night at 5 o'clock and under the lights or in the Adams Tennis Center, and we've been getting great crowds. I mean, 200 plus people. And so we're going to start on Fridays. We're going to start free Fridays. We're going to offer a free junior clinic starting at 4 o'clock. So while before an hour before the match starts to junior players, so to kids in the area to come out and play for free in the indoor or the outdoor and get a little tennis in, and then hopefully they'll stick around and watch a little tennis and watch the team play. I mean, we've got a huge schedule lined out this spring. I mean, we're playing like nonstop super teams all spring. So we think it'll be a cool way to get more kids involved in the game and share our passion and let them meet the guys in the team and get them out there. So, tennis isn't one of those sports where like, I got to sell tickets and I need to bring in revenue. I feel like my role is to get the community involved in tennis around the team. And we've been pretty successful at it, between that and our ball kid program. There's tons of opportunities to play tennis, and I'm happy to try to help them get involved.
Yeah, no, that's a excellent mindset. A breath of fresh air when you describe kind of your outlook as a coach to the community. I think that's something the community is desperately looking for. Maybe not with everything, with the outreach. It's good to have a coach that we can reach out to, you can talk to on a regular basis. You're not behind closed doors. And as I told you prior to recording here, I think that's something that I admire with you is your touch with Murfreesboro and its people. And clearly it's growing and it's getting a lot of people there to the stands, as you alluded to. And again, part of that is that big schedule that you guys always have. And so to kind of switch gears here back to your upcoming season, I did the math. You got 17 of your 25 matches, and that's not including your blue and gray challenge you have coming up at late February, but 17 of your 25 were ranked in the top 75 in ITA rankings, which is kind of, for those that don't follow tennis, that's kind of your top 25 of basketball is top 75 of tennis. And 17 of the 25 were ranked at one point last year. And what's even better for those that are coming out or want to look at a game at Adams Tennis Center or the new complex is you're going to have a lot of those games at home. Like I know that one that I have pinned marked here is the Oklahoma. You got Northwestern, another team that's up there.
Yeah.
You have Cornell, Memphis, Tulane. Those are all some home matches against teams that were NCAA tournament teams. So, one, just touch on the strength of schedule that you like to challenge your guys with, because it doesn't do you guys any favor as you roll into duels in the NCAA tournament or even conference for that matter to just kind of cupcake your way through the year. It really prepares your guys for that later half where the games really start to matter.
Yeah. Where do I start? I mean, the way I'm looking at it is it's all process. Each match just helping us prepare and get ready to kind of make that big push for the national tournament. Only one program at Middle Tennessee in the history of our sports program has gotten to the round of 16. Volleyball, I think in 2010 or something like that, got to the round of 16. Men's tennis has only gotten to the round of 32. We've done it a couple times. We've done it. Coach Short got the team a couple times as well to the round of 32. Try to break it and get into that round of 16. And in order to do that, you got to play against the tough teams, and you got to play them home, and you got to play them away. And to be honest, you get more bonus points when you beat a team on the road. But I think in another life I was Don King, but without any hair. And I really, really get pumped up to try to market our matches. Like I've been meeting with our marketing team and just try to find cool ideas to try to convince. My philosophy is if I can convince 5 new people to come to a tennis match for each match, that accumulates. And once they come and they see, hey, whether we win or whether we lose, they had a good time. It's free. Coach Jimmy sells beer at the matches. He's giving out T-shirts. There's a free clinic for my kids. My kids can be a ball kid. After the match, his team comes up in the crowd and gives me a high five and thanks me for coming. He sends me an email to remind me about the match. I mean, in heck, I mean that's just some of the stuff we do. So I don't care about my win-loss record. I mean, maybe Chris Massaro and the administration cares what my win-loss record is. I don't. I feel like we win or we learn, and usually get a lot better after we lose because it kind of shows maybe some deficiencies and where we need to work. So I'm super excited about the schedule. I mean, I'm calling it the gauntlet, but I think it's Oklahoma State, Arkansas, Cal, then NC State or Duke, then Mississippi State, then Michigan State. I mean, that's just the start of the season. So, I mean, it's huge. And so that's going to really get us ready for Conference USA and the tournament, which we're hosting. I don't think any of the teams in Conference USA are even getting close to playing the schedule that we're playing. So it's just going to make us tougher, which is going to be great.
Yeah, with the little research I did on the schedule prior to this interview, I can tell you that Conference USA, or many mid-majors for that matter, are playing the gauntlet. I think you have that well named. But again, I call myself an optimistic fan. I see a lot of wins for this team. I think being at home serves you well. And again, you talk about having a home court advantage, absolutely. I know that a lot of your upcoming matches will be at the Adams Tennis Complex. I would hope indoor, given the weather that we're dealing with right now. But I think the one date that we're all looking forward to is March 1st matchup with Texas Tech. I think that's the day that the new outdoor complex is supposed to debut. $7.1 million outdoor tennis facility. What are kind of some exciting things about that for you as a coach who's been here for 14 years that this new opportunity has afforded you? It just overall buzz around it.
Yeah, I mean, 14 years, we've been so fortunate to have the support of Dr. McPhee, Chris Massaro. I mean, when I got here, we had 4 players on the team. We played in indoor tennis in Nashville, and I'll never forget having a meeting with Chris Massaro and him telling me that Middle Tennessee Boulevard is going to widen and they're going to take away my courts. And that was 14 years ago. And I remember thinking, man, I'm going to be gone. I'm not going to be here when they do all that. So I don't need to worry about that. And now here we are. We've got a $6 million indoor tennis center. We've got a $7 million outdoor tennis center. I mean, we've got $13 million worth of new tennis facilities. I mean, it's unheard of. It's really cool. I mean, I'm I go by the tennis center the last couple of days because we're getting down to the nitty gritty. The ribbon cutting is January 23rd at 2 o'clock. So that's going to be a really big event. Yeah, I mean it's great. It's for the student athletes. It's going to make their life so much easier. Go to class and then walk across campus and we can go practice. I want the guys to be able to, let's say it's in the evening and they want to go back out and practice. They can go in. They're going to be able to scan their little ID card, turn the lights on, push a button, and go work on their serve. Guys are going to be spoiled. I just bought them a $9,000 ball machine that can raise up and 8 feet up in the air, and it can serve balls 120 miles per hour at the guys so they can practice. It's going to save my shoulder. But so until that's done, we've been having to drive over to Adams Tennis Complex, and it hasn't been perfect because it's a beautiful day, and we're going to get in the car and go across campus, and so it's going to be a game changer. I'm super excited. It's great for both men's and women's tennis, so it's going to be very exciting to have that. Hopefully, that first match March 1st. If not, though, I don't know if you noticed, but I think I got a couple other good ones there just in case there's bad weather on that day. I want to say Louisville on March 10th, and then March 15th. I want to say is University of Oklahoma. So it's not like if it's bad weather on the first, it's going to be okay. We got a great one on the 10th with Louisville or Oklahoma. So one of those is going to be a really cool match to be at the new courts.
And then you've also got Memphis on the 31st there. So that's all in the month of March. You got one with Vanderbilt on April 2nd, too. So there's plenty of opportunities to go out and see the new outdoor facility. The guys, how excited are they about this? Is this something that is it generated a lot of excitement within the team?
I think the returners it has. The new guys are kind of like walking in. They're like, "Yeah, I came. I came here because of the new facility," and and so and it's a little. I feel I'm a little bummed just because the guys prior kind of paved the way. They helped us the team be successful. They did all these things, like I said, and how they do such a good job with our fans and thanking them and those help build relationships that have helped us raise the money for this $7.1 million facility. I mean, it's not like Dr. McPhee just snapped his fingers and here you go, here's the $7 million. I mean, we worked hard and it was a team effort to get this sucker going. So, and unfortunately they haven't got to play in it, but we're doing an alumni weekend at the end of the season when we host Conference USA, and I'm hoping a lot of those guys can come back to kind of see how cool that corner looks now with all the cool amenities that the new facility has. And hopefully they'll be proud of it. So should be cool.
As Coach Borendame speaks about, the Conference USA tournament is hosted as the Blue Raiders look to go for 5 straight Conference USA championships on April 20 through the 21st. Outside of that, those that are listening this Saturday, you've got your kickoff there on the 13th against Presbyterian, Tennessee State, doubleheader at 1 p.m. at the Adams Tennis Complex. So, of course, free admission, as Coach Borendame mentioned. You got free Fridays coming up for the kids. Is that only Friday home matches?
So we're Friday home matches. We're gonna put a graphic out and get people so that to get the word out. I want to say the first home Friday one is probably Mississippi State, which they've knocked us out. They've knocked me. Well, they've beaten me. I don't know how many times, and then they knocked us out of the NCAA tournament last year. So that one will be big. February 2nd. We'll probably start the free Fridays that day. But I often try to advertise. If we're doing something, free clinics. We do a big one coming up with the Murfreesboro City Schools, but I think that one's a little bit later in the year when weather gets a little bit better. But there's tons of opportunities to get involved in tennis, and I probably get 2-3 emails a day for people asking me like, "Hey, how can I get my kid involved?" And I'm happy to help and do any of those things. But I always try to invite people to the matches because once we get somebody to come, they have a great time. So yeah, circle that January 13th and February 2nd are the first couple.
Yeah, you heard him. Get out to Adams Tennis Complex. Weather is not an issue, as it is an indoor facility for those that don't know. A lot of fun at those matches. Coach, I've had a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun. Like I said, I respect you and your program that you've built over the 14 years here, and this is a lot of fun. And hopefully we can touch base again as we're rocking and rolling through the season. I know you're a busy man, but I know there's a lot of exciting things coming on Middle Tennessee Boulevard. So, Coach, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, and hopefully we can catch up in person. And we got to get you some Middle Tennessee tennis gear.
Absolutely, Coach. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Great conversation with head men's tennis coach Jimmy Borendame. To reiterate his kickoff weekend this Saturday, the 13th, at Adams Tennis Complex, the Raiders will start at 1 p.m. against Presbyterian, followed by a 5 p.m. start against Tennessee State. So make sure you head on out to Old Fort Parkway, the Adams Tennis Complex, to help the Raiders start their season out strong. The Lady Raiders, they travel to Starkville, Mississippi this weekend with a Friday matchup against Conference USA opponent Jacksonville State, followed by a matchup with the host school, Mississippi State, on Saturday. In hoops action, the men get back to the win column with an 84-47 win over Reinhardt. It is certainly a game the Raiders should win by that margin, given the opponents, and it is promising to see the ball fall through the hoop at a 50% clip. Jalen Jordan leads the team with 15 points, again promising, seeing him step into that scorer mode that the team desperately needs right now. And they certainly have a tough week ahead of them, as last week Oliver Baltz and I alluded to the Louisiana Tech kickoff of the Conference USA season, the 11th at 8 p.m. That game can be viewed on CBS Sports Network. Louisiana Tech dropped a head-scratcher on Saturday at Sam Houston State, a team that is not necessarily on my radar, but given a win over Louisiana Tech, who has an excellent front court, it certainly is something to keep an eye out, as they are a team that could potentially slip on the road, and Middle could certainly use this win to catapult them through the conference season. Inversely, the Raiders play Sam Houston State on Saturday at home as well on the 13th at 5 p.m. So could certainly be a huge week for the Raiders, getting 2 wins and seeing that Sam Houston State could be better than what they were originally viewed at on paper, could come up large later at the end of February, early March. The Lady Raiders finally get back to action this week after a long hiatus. They kick off their season on the road at Louisiana Tech on Wednesday at 6 p.m. That's viewable on ESPN+, and then a Saturday matchup against Sam Houston State, the 13th at 2 p.m., also on ESPN+. Should be a relatively easy weekend for the Lady Raiders, but road matchups can always be tough, and of course, when you get into conference play, teams that are a lot more familiar with you, like Louisiana Tech is, anything could certainly happen. Outside of hoops, we also have indoor track and field. This last week, they competed at the Ed Temple Classic at Tennessee State University. Local freshman John Sherman from Laverne took first place in the 55-meter dash with a time of 6.38 seconds. Sherman also took home first place in the 200-meter dash with a time of 22.52 seconds. In the women's side, Leonie Bill won the women's 400-meter dash with a time of 60 seconds flat. In the 55-meter hurdles, Tamia Waters ran a 8.23 second time for second place. Lanika Vance finished second in the women's 55-meter dash with a 7.15 time. Freshman Lakeisha Smith placed first overall in the 200-meter dash with a time of 25.65. The indoor track and field season continues this Saturday, the 13th, in Ann Arbor, Michigan, as a part of the Michigan Invitational. A lot of action this week to keep tabs on, but next week I look forward to my guest, MTSU Athletic Director Chris Massaro. Again, that episode will release next Tuesday, and I'm very excited about that. And for those of you that are interested in having questions, send them over to our podcast email at blueraiderpod@gmail.com, or, of course, we'll have a forum available on gomiddle.com. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get to everyone's questions, but we're always open to ideas or questions you'd like to send our way. Again, I appreciate everyone who supported the show thus far and listened all the way to the end, and we will catch you next week with that interview with Mr. Massaro, and until next time, go Blue.